Welcome back to Conversation with Buddy. I'm your host, Buddy Puckett. Hey, before we dive into today's guest, would you do me a huge favor right now? Just hit that subscribe button, please. And maybe a thumbs up. Give us a review, a comment. We want to see your comments and really engage with you. And also, if you ever want to be on the podcast, reach out to me. I'd love to have a conversation with you, see if it's something you want to do. Today, we have a new guest. He's a new friend of mine as well. And without further ado, his name is Skylar Simpson. Welcome, Skylar.
Hey, buddy. How you doing?
Hey, man. I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad, actually.
Well, hey, this is going to be a lot of fun. By the way, how old are you?
I'm 36.
36.
Yeah.
You're a young guy compared to me. I'm 20 years your elder, so.
Yeah, you have plenty of time left.
And I'm not that farther ahead in learning, but that's okay. I had you send me over some things about you, and I thought it was pretty cool. I mean, I think you're a black belt in karate, so.
Taekwondo, actually.
Taekwondo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, did that for all the way up until through college. And then after that, I joined the military. So I continued in some kind of training, but not Taekwondo specifically.
You're kind of a bad dude, so we wouldn't want to mess with you.
Potentially. All
right. What branch of the military?
I was in the Army.
Army.
Yeah.
4 years?
4 years. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to dive into a lot of stuff today. We have a lot to cover. You and I had a conversation, a month ago?
Just about, yeah.
So you and I have a mutual friend, Nick Ketchum.
Yep.
Does that sound about right?
Yeah. Know the guy. Love him.
So you met him a long time ago. I never met you. I'd heard about you. You probably heard about me.
Yeah. He mentioned your name a lot.
You came up and introduced yourself at a Food for Thought. Mm-hmm. So I really appreciate that, by the way.
Yeah, of course. I heard your name and I was like, there's no way it's the same guy, is it? And then it happened to be the one.
One guy, one buddy. Well, appreciate that. We had a good conversation over coffee shortly after that. And here we are.
Yeah.
Doing a podcast.
I appreciate you inviting me out.
Yeah, no problem. Well, let's dive in. I wanted to learn about Skylar. We're going to kind of figure out where you were born and just learn some basic stuff about you, but we're going to get into theology. What's your favorite style of theology when you think of,
So, when it comes to theology, I'm super into apologetics. When it comes to church history, especially.
Yeah.
And just understanding like the roots of where we came from and why we are where we are.
Yeah.
And so it helps me discuss basically with anybody. So interfaith or non-interfaith, it's pretty interesting.
Okay. Apologetics. So I'm going to learn some stuff today.
Maybe. We'll see.
That's awesome. All right. Where were you born? What were mom and dad like? Siblings?
Sure.
Just start.
Yeah. So I was born actually here in Salem, Oregon.
Okay.
And I've lived here my entire life with the exception of moving out when I went into the military and grew up with a single mom. My first memory is actually of my dad getting arrested. So that's when I was 3.
Okay.
And so not the greatest first memory. So grew up with my mom, single mom, super poor growing up, which I think taught me a lot about appreciating what you have growing up. And now, thankfully, my mom, because she was such a great mom, worked her way out of that position of poverty. And what I really appreciated about that was, even though I was growing up without a father figure, that was probably the hardest thing, is not having a father figure, right? So I never learned how to do any of what you'd expect as a guy to learn, like how to fix cars and all that kind of stuff. So I had to teach myself. Even when I'm married today, I'm learning. I redid my entire kitchen from the ground up, never done it in my life, but I watched a YouTube video, or many actually. And so I had to do that. And so that's kind of how my childhood was I learned to work hard, and it made me really appreciate what I had, specifically because growing up poor. And I think a lot of people who don't grow up in that way don't ever get that appreciation because they're used to having all the things, and I was used to going without. My mom would tell me stories about when she wouldn't eat that night because we didn't have enough money for food. So she would feed us whatever we had, and she would go to bed hungry. And so,
swear.
Yeah, on my life.
Oh my God.
And so hearing that story now, I can tell it, but when I first told it, it would really make me tear up thinking about it.
That's heavy, dude.
Yeah.
That's really heavy.
Yeah.
I think you're right, though. I think you could grow up bitter or better. Not that I think, I grew up with a dad and mom.
Yeah.
I had a pretty good childhood. But then there's certain things I didn't do or didn't have to because, I had my dad.
Yeah.
Did you kind of become the man of the house even though your dad got arrested at 3? At some point in time, did your mom lean on you a little bit more?
Yeah. So I was kind of I was the guy, whatever the guy position was in the family, that was me. So when it came to fixing things or building things or doing the lawn, right? Mowing the lawn, I was the guy.
You are the guy.
So my sister never mowed the lawn. She never had to fix anything, never had to build anything. Yeah. So anytime we got something new, I would be building it, you know. So what my wife likes to call it is there's boy jobs and then there's us jobs. There's no girl jobs, but there's boy jobs for sure.
Boy jobs. Yeah. Hey, real quick, did you say you're the older or the younger?
I'm the oldest.
Over your sister?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're the firstborn.
I am the firstborn.
Okay. Are you and your sister close?
We're 18 months. Yep. Pretty close.
I mean, not close in proximity, but just close in terms of relationship.
Yeah, we were not very close growing up. Well, because, we're siblings, we fight all the time. But so I'd break her doll. She named her dolls after the injuries I gave them. So if I broke her doll and it had a bad eye, she called that doll Owie Eye. I was kind of a little bit of a jerk baby. But growing back up when we're in high school or so, we started becoming pretty good friends. And then since then, we've been pretty good.
Yeah.
So.
Did your mom ever remarry?
She did finally, actually. Yeah, about 10 years ago or so, 12 years ago, something like that.
So why'd your dad go to prison?
Well, actually, he did not go. He didn't go to prison. He got arrested.
He got arrested. Okay,
yeah, so he was in. I know, no, makes sense, right? He got arrested and was held for a while, but it wasn't like a year-long term or 6 months or anything like that. It was they had to get him out of the house because he was being aggressive and he was drunk. He did drugs and all this kind of stuff. Right now, he's in a much better spot because he's no longer an alcoholic. I mean, he's alcoholic in the sense of like you're always an alcoholic.
Are you?
Not me. Sorry, I know.
I'm just saying though.
Like my father, right? He would say he's an alcoholic, but he's in remission, right?
Okay.
I think a lot of people who go through like Alcoholics Anonymous and stuff like that, like he has the the little coin, right?
Yeah.
But he had a really bad tumor 15, 20 years ago, and one of his frontal lobes had to get taken out. So he had to learn how to walk and talk all over again. And so he's kind of been disabled ever since, right? With he doesn't understand jokes and stuff like that as much anymore and that kind of stuff. So kind of rambling a little bit, but that's kind of what happened with growing up with him. It'd be a lot of like, I had to be very careful because he would want to borrow money to buy cigarettes, or he'd sell I have two half brothers that grew up with him specifically, and he would sell all their possessions. So I'd lend them a video game. I wouldn't get it back because it got stolen out of his car again, that kind of stuff. And not to talk poorly about my father, but that's how we grew up, right?
It's facts,
Right. And so he now, after all that time, finally, and now that my brothers are grown up and stuff like that, he's a Christ follower, and
he is.
Yes, of course, yeah. And he calls me frequently and talks about the Bible. Not so much as of late, but he used to call me frequently to talk about the Bible, and because of his head injury and tumor that he would really be fearful that he's going to hell and stuff like that. So it was a lot of like back and forth, like, well, what does the Bible say, and what is that kind of stuff. So
that's so good, man. It forced you to dive into the Bible and learn it more, because people are asking questions like, which probably is why you like apologetics or church history, because where'd it come from? What's it really mean? And a lot of people like to quote like a quasi verse, like they kind of something they made up in their mind, or a partial, but taking people to the scriptures, that's really powerful.
Yeah.
Is your mom a believer?
Yeah, my mom was a believer.
Sister?
Yeah, my sister as well. The biggest problem, I think, is they don't have a church, and they don't go to a church, and they don't have a community.
And they live locally?
They do, yeah. And I've tried inviting them to our church, and they've come a couple times here and there, but it's not a consistency for them. So it's something I'm really trying to be like, hey, try to find a church, or try to find a community. My mom's husband's not a believer, so that's kind of, problematic in many ways for her and her relationship, right? But he's super smart, super nice, and so he's, someone we can plant seeds in, and hopefully eventually at one point he'll get to that point.
Well, and it's funny, you and I talked about Nick Ketchum. Nick was a guy that grew up and actually didn't know Christ, and he would tell you that. So Nick, we're not saying anything about you that we wouldn't say to your face, but we love Nick. But you were planting seeds, I was planting seeds. But God does the work as you and I do our work. Yeah. But that's all we can do is pray for people, plant and water, and see what God does.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, or the Holy Spirit specifically. But, okay, tell me about which grade school, middle school, high school did you go to? What sports did you play?
Yeah, so I ended up I played all sports. So I played basketball, football, and baseball growing up. So I consider myself an athletic nerd because I was very academic, but I also was pretty good at sports.
Okay, nice.
And so like I did gymnastics and, martial arts and all that kind of stuff. So I was super into being physical, but also I was very nerdy with like gaming and, looking and watching hours of apologetic videos and stuff like that. So
I think it's cool, dude. That's so cool.
And so that was the bet, because you're one or the other a lot of the time, right? You're either athletic or you're intellectual.
Right.
So,
Agreed. You got both.
Yeah. And so mixing the both, I think, is important. So that's really been something I've been trying to, with my oldest son, 11-year-old, really pushing on him like, hey, you need to do well in school and going to college, but also you're playing sports while we grow up, just because it gives you the dexterity and the confidence and the team building and things that you're going to have to use when you grow up and join a different company or build your own company. Yeah. So it's, you can learn a lot from these things.
Yeah. That's so cool. Which high school did you go to?
I went to McKay.
You went to McKay?
Yeah.
Okay. When did you graduate?
When?
Yeah, when?
07.
Do you know Jeremiah Anderson? Do you know that name?
It doesn't ring a bell.
Okay,
it's possible. I'm a face guy, so
the
name may not ring a bell. Yeah.
All right. So after high school, what college did you go to?
I went to Western Oregon University.
Me too, man.
Did you?
Yeah. Well, I went to WASC. You went to WOW.
That's fair. Yeah.
Something like that. What'd you study?
Criminal justice and psychology.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. My plan was to become an FBI agent in the intelligence sector.
That's so weird. It's funny. I got into college and I was starting to lean, exactly like you.
Yeah.
Criminal justice. Got more into business, and so I kind of said no on that, but that was definitely something I was interested in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So it's definitely can be a good career field. Kind of like the military, being a police officer or going into the military is really bad for family life. So I changed my course. I only joined the military because I wanted to become an FBI agent. That's the only reason.
That's the only reason.
No, I'm serious. The only way to get intelligence experience is either to be recruited out of college because you have some kind of specialized knowledge, like 5 languages or super good at hacking or something like that. Or you already have intelligence experience through another source. And the military was the only possible easiest path forward for that. So I was like, I was the last person who wanted to join the military.
Got it.
But then I did. So
you got all the way through college and then you joined the military?
Yeah. Yep. So 3 weeks. So I graduated early from college, multiple, like a term early. Yeah. And then 3 weeks after that, I was in the military.
And you already knew what you were doing. Yep. You're that guy.
Yeah.
I was out of college going, what do I do now?
No, I was already planning it out. I had like my entire life planned. And then of course, after the military, my life went a different direction. So
you're typical firstborn. I mean, you kind of plan out your life. That's how you're wired, man. Yeah. Secondborns was kind of like whatever. I'm a secondborn. Can you figure that out?
Okay. I see.
Yeah. I have an older sister, but, question for you. So you married your wife.
Yep.
Is she a firstborn, secondborn?
Oh man, she is a technically tied fourthborn.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 Well, I love birth order. I mean, I talk about it almost every podcast. I'm curious, like, typically a firstborn doesn't marry a firstborn. Typically. I'm not saying it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It's not typical.
That's what I hear, yeah.
So
that's very interesting.
How that works. It's totally interesting.
I wonder why.
I'm a secondborn. I married a firstborn. My daughter, secondborn, married a firstborn. So
interesting.
That's more normal, but hey, I don't know if there's anything normal about anything. Really.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. It's fascinating actually how like meeting my wife, I actually knew her in middle school.
Yeah.
And then I lost track of her for 15 years. And I just happened to, while doing, real estate investment stuff, see her on Facebook, reach out to her for coffee. And
no way.
Here we are. Yeah.
Here we are.
It's super weird how that happens.
Okay. So when did you come to know Christ as your Savior?
See, that's a hard question for me because I feel like I've always, I don't know, maybe the word known Christ, I think is a specific question. So I've been in church almost my entire life. My mom would bring me to church.
Love that.
She actually stopped going to church because she got divorced.
Yeah.
And the church that she was going to said like, hey, you got divorced. That's unbiblical. Get out of here. Which obviously, as we know, is unbiblical to do to a divorced individual. So hers was like a biblical divorce, right? She was being cheated on, abused, et cetera, right? And so she stopped going to church.
Yeah.
But for me, I continued to go to church. She would bring me to church still, and I would still watch videos online of pastors and stuff like that. So I was pretty serious about Christ pretty much a majority of my life.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I didn't have struggles. Trust me, I had some pretty dark moments, especially in the military.
Right.
That if it wasn't for Christ, I probably wouldn't be here anymore, if I'm completely honest with you.
No kidding.
But yeah, to answer your question, I think I don't have a specific time. I don't have like, hey, this is when I was a drug addict. And then it was I always went to church, but I gave I remember giving my life to Christ in my teens specifically and being baptized in my teens specifically as a choice because of that.
Yeah.
And so I guess to answer your question, that would be in my teenage years.
Yeah. Okay. So then during high school and college, were you ever a prodigal son? Were you kind of went wayward.
Not even a little bit. So I'm the
Swear.
yeah. So if
You're the typical firstborn. I love it, man.
yeah, if you talk to the FBI, because when I joined the military in the intelligence sector, the FBI has to not interrogate you but question you, right, to make sure you have a background that they would accept. And so I literally was told that I have the most boring background they've ever seen in their career.
Sweet, you're the guy.
So so because of my belief in Christ and following, I took it to heart when it said, do not fornicate, do not do these things, right? So I've never been drunk. I've never done a single drug in my life. I've drank alcohol. So I like you go out and you have a drink, right? Sure. But I've never been drunk. Yeah. And then when it came to that entire process through college is I tried to make sure I didn't hang out with the individuals that would lead me astray. So I had friends who invite me to parties, right? But the problem with Woo is when I went there, it was a dry town. Yeah. And it's no longer a dry town, but in Dallas Independence area. Yeah. And so they had to go to Corvallis, 45-minute drive, 30-minute drive. And I was like, A, too much of a nerd because I want to play video games. But B, I also thought like, what is the point of me going here, right? I went to Woo because I didn't want to have sororities and other things around me that would potentially draw me into that lifestyle. And so I didn't. And so I made very calculated, specific decisions when it came to that.
And I think to your point, you have to, something I taught my daughters where if you don't know in advance what you're going to do, you'll be tempted and fall into those traps because your friends will drag you into those. Like, Dad, I won't ever do that. Well, hold on here. Right. You better have some conviction behind that because I think you will. Yeah. So, and Woo or Wask was also a dry town.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
It was pretty wet when I lived there because we would go to Independence and bring it. So we had plenty of parties. But here's the deal. You can make it whatever you want. Yeah. And you chose something different.
Well, I think honestly it's because of my dad. So I live very vicariously through others. Yeah. When it comes to like seeing the mistakes they've done and then not wanting to commit the same.
Repeat.
Yeah. So my sister's the opposite where she has to actually do the thing to learn the thing.
So I'm probably like your sister. Like, let me try that out.
Yeah. I don't believe you. Yeah.
I don't know if that's really true. Let me see.
Right.
Interesting. Yeah. But I think, our parents were role models, good or bad. Right. Hey, my dad went to church, read his Bible. Cool. Hey, my dad was a, drug addict. I'm not going to do that. Yeah. Good. So God can work through both.
Oh, yeah.
God still gets the glory no matter what.
100%.
But that's interesting. Well, let's dive here because you're a married guy. Yep. You've been married for
just about 4 years.
4 years. You have 4 kids.
Yeah.
Okay. Talk to us about that. How'd you meet you said you met her in middle school.
Yep.
Separated for 15 years. You didn't see her.
Right.
How'd you guys come back together again?
Yeah, so I was just on Facebook one day, and I'm on Facebook relatively frequently because of what I was doing in business. Yeah. And I had never seen her pop up even once on my Facebook page. She was a friend of mine. Because middle school or something, high school. Yeah, yeah. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I see something of hers pop up. And I was like, and at that time I was connecting with people every single week, 2, 3, 4 different people every single week because I was trying to build my business. And I was like, let me connect with her. Who knows? I don't know what she's up to. I don't know what she does. Nothing. I didn't know that she had recently just got divorced, which is an interesting point. Yeah. And so I reached out to her and I was like, hey, I haven't seen you in forever. I haven't seen you since middle school. Like, let's grab coffee. Yeah. I wasn't married. This is interesting term, but I was a super virgin. And what I mean by that is I had never dated anybody. I had never kissed anybody. I had never done anything. And I was a 30-year-old. And that was by choice because I didn't want to.
It has to be by choice because otherwise.
Yeah, I know, right? Either I'm hideous or there's something else going on. So there was I made so many choices where it's like, I'm not going to date in college because in 4 years I'm going somewhere and I don't want someone to hold me back. And I did the same thing in the military, which is kind of a silly reason, but also at the same time, it helped me protect myself from potentially terrible things. Yeah. And so anyways, I contacted her. She actually blew me off initially. She said, I'm going to be gone for a week at camp and contact me after camp and we'll make something happen. Yeah. Well, I see her post something about camp and being back. And I'm like, oh, being the naive person I am at the time, I was like, oh, she's back. Let's contact her again. Things girls say do right over my head, right? Right. And so
I'm with you.
Yeah. So I reached out to her again and she's like, yeah, sure. Okay. And apparently hearing it from her side, her story is way more hilarious than mine because from her perspective, she's like, oh my gosh, another guy, right? She just got divorced. Apparently tons of guys from her past were reaching out. I didn't know this. I didn't even know she got divorced. Right. And so I was just being like me. And I was like, hey, let's just see what's going on with you. And I expected it to be a 30-minute conversation. I'd never see her again, like most people. Yeah. That is not how that conversation went. So
interesting. Yeah. Okay, so you're out of college, you're out of the military, you're 30.
Yeah. 30,
And-
32. Yep.
Yeah. And you're having coffee with this girl you went to grade school with.
Yeah.
So you hadn't seen her that whole time.
Not even once. Yeah.
What made you attracted to her?
You mean like in general, like attracted
Yeah.
like physically? Well, the thing was, is when I contacted her, I had zero intentions. Like even looking at her pictures, I was like, she's cute. Yeah, I'm not like whatever. I just curious what's going on with her.
Yeah,
I was at the point where, if I'm being honest with you, I was like, well, I'm 32. I have no prospects when it comes to women. I'm probably going to die by myself. Right.
Right.
And so, I mean,
It's
right?
good that you've accepted that. Like,
Right.
it is
well,
what it is.
don't forget,
man.
like COVID is starting to happen kind of around this period.
Yeah.
And so honestly, her pictures don't do her justice. So when I saw her walk through the door, it was the most beautiful girl I've ever seen in my life. And like my heart actually started pumping really fast. I was like, I'm in trouble, right?
You are in trouble.
Yeah,
dude.
I'm in big trouble. And so
You're
I was like, do I shake her hand? Do I hug her? Do I not touch her? Do I say hi? Like all these things are running through my mind, right? Because remember, I've never dated anybody, so I don't know how to like specifically.
So interesting, man. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I really do. I have a lot of respect for that.
I appreciate it.
So,
Yeah.
okay. So you meet her for coffee.
Yeah.
You hit it off.
Yeah.
Then what?
Well, it was kind of funny. She came in and she brought her laptop.
Okay.
And she told me, she's like, hey, I'm probably gonna have to work during our conversation, just let you know. And in my head, I'm like, okay, whatever.
That's strange.
Super strange, right?
Yeah.
She was, at that time, she was very hurt by her last relationship.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
the worst you can imagine. Just imagine the worst thing that happened in a relationship with drugs and cheating on and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
A father who wasn't there, 2 babies, that kind of stuff. And so anyways, she came in and she's like, oh boy, another boy who's trying to hit on me, who's trying blah, blah, blah. And so she's going to do everything to blow me off and to show she's not interested in me.
Yeah.
In my head, I was like, okay, yeah, if you need to work, whatever, like this is gonna be a 30-minute conversation anyways, you know? And so hearing it from her side is really funny because I obviously said, hey, do you want a coffee? I'll buy. In her head, when I said, I will buy, she's like, yeah, of course you're going to buy, you know, because she's really like a man hater at this point, right? She's really mad at men.
Yeah. Okay.
And so, I bought her a coffee and we started talking. I found out that she was going to school for a master's in theology and apologetics.
Wow.
And that like immediately I was like, whoa, that is my passion. Let's talk about this. Right.
Yeah.
And so we ended up talking for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I had to leave and she had to leave because we had to work, right? Yeah. It was during the day. It was like, I was expecting a 30-minute lunch break.
Yeah.
It turned into a 2-hour talk.
Yeah.
And basically from that point on, we talked every single day for all day. Like I'm texting her continuously throughout the entire day.
Yeah.
And we still do that today. So it was like, it's funny when she left, she was talking about never getting married again. And I said, oh, never say never. It was just an offhanded comment, which really made her mad. I didn't know that at the time. And what was the best and most interesting thing about this story, and this is key, is she heard in her heart, the Holy Spirit tell her, that's the guy you're going to marry. And she was mad at the Holy Spirit. She's like, nope, never marrying again, never again. And as you know, God has his ways. And
God has his ways, man.
Yeah. And so we ended up, I don't know, it was really weird. I'm usually really nervous around beautiful girls.
Yeah.
And I wasn't nervous around her a single time.
Yeah.
And it was the opposite. She's never nervous around boys, but she was very nervous around me.
Yeah.
So weird.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, what God brings together, man, it's up to him.
Yeah. It's been the best thing that's ever happened in my life besides Christ.
You guys have 4 kids.
Yeah.
How many, do you guys have any together or are these all her?
Sure. Yeah. 2 of them were from her past relationship, which I adopted fully. So they're on the birth certificates. It has my last name and me as the father.
No kidding.
We filed abandonment. It took 9 or 10 months.
Yeah.
The week of Christmas is when it actually got finalized.
Like just...
this was years ago.
Oh, years ago.
Yeah, years ago. Like the first year.
Okay.
Yeah. So we immediately started that process when we got married. And I mean, the bio dad basically is not in the picture at all in any way. And so it's sad, but also a blessing because it'd be really challenging. It'd be a bummer if I had to share that with another guy, right?
Yep.
I would because it would be the right thing to do.
Sure.
But it's a big blessing that they look just like me. They look exactly like me. And I've been stopped in a store.
Your kids are so beautiful. Yeah.
Oh yeah. In the store, my oldest, my 11-year-old boy, a guy stopped me and said, oh my gosh, he is a spitting image of you. And like, how could that be anything else but God, right? Like,
that's God.
They brought me into their lives because they needed that. And they look just like me. So no one will ever like assume like, hey, this isn't the same father, right?
Yeah.
And then I have 2 others, a boy and a girl. So I have a boy and a girl who are 11 and 10. Yeah. Or sorry, 11 and 7. Yeah. And then I have 2 youngers, which is a girl who's 2.5 and a boy who's almost 1.
Okay.
And those 2 youngers are the ones that I had with my wife.
Yeah. What's your wife's name?
Samantha.
You want to introduce your kids at all? Oldest to youngest?
Oh, yeah, sure. So Forrest is 11, Felicity is 7, Fiona is the 2.5-year-old, and Flynn is our newest, and he's almost 1. They're all F names.
Fs. Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Hey, what's the joy or what's the lessons God's teaching you as a parent?
Oh man. I've always been a very calm and patient person, but I will tell you what, children will test that patience beyond the limits that you thought you had.
Amen.
And so I would say being able to, because when I was single, it was all about me. I could do whatever I want, whenever I want, however I want.
Sounds pretty good.
And some people, like some of my single friends are like, it's freedom, but it's really not. It's a cage of its own, right?
Yeah,
so it's a very selfish lifestyle. Not that I was selfish, but it is because you don't have to worry about anyone else. And so with my wife, learning to spend enough time, not only with my wife, but with my kids and spreading that out properly is a big challenge because we have two babies. And so the 11-year-old who had a lot of attention before our babies now gets less attention.
Yeah.
So that's not like, that's just because of time thing. Like I have to change my baby. I have to hold my baby. I have to feed my baby. I have to, so if he wants to do something physical and active, I have to make that schedule time with my wife to be like, I'm going to go with my boy,
right?
which I do. Like every other Tuesday, I go to the shooting range with him. So we have that one-on-one time.
So cool, dude.
So you have to really schedule. So you learn to spend your time wisely is something that I really learned.
Well, I think, what I've learned about my schedule is if it's not on my schedule, it doesn't get done anyway.
Right.
So I think sometimes the busier we are, the more things we have to do, the more we have to get things on the schedule and be, what's the word I'm thinking of? Intentional.
Right, yeah.
So be more intentional about this. So I think that's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
So it forces you scheduled and your son has something to look forward to.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah, that's a lot of fun. It's the coolest thing is being a parent. Those who can't be a parent makes me sad for them.
Yeah.
Or don't want to be a parent. I think they'll regret that one day, not wanting to be a parent. I'm sure there's some that will never regret it. But like, I know too many people who are 45, 50, that's like, man, my life is kind of, I don't have that.
Yeah.
And so it's the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Yeah. Okay. So marriage, there's a book I read recently. It's called Sacred Marriage. And it's a Christian book. Sure. And the question on the front of this is, what if marriage was to make you, or was not to make you happy, but to make you holy?
Sure.
So how do you talk about marriage? I mean, I love marriage.
Yeah.
But we married somebody opposite of us and by God's design.
Sure. Absolutely.
What's your thoughts on marriage from a biblical perspective, and what are you learning?
Sure. Well, marriage is a biblical perspective, right? I think it is. So I tell my wife this semi-frequently, is she is my missing puzzle piece. So in my life, my wife is everything that my strengths are in is her weaknesses, and her weaknesses are my strengths. So she's an extrovert, was go, and she'll burn out. I'm an introvert and I'm like, hey, let's go, but let's also make time to relax. And so with my wife, she's learned to slow down, and I've learned to be more, not outgoing necessarily, but be more, right? Do more and spend less time relaxing. And so I think God really does bring people in your lives, especially if you do it biblically. Like I sought out a woman who was a faithful believer and practiced her faith. I think that's key, is you can be with someone who's a Christian, but if they are not following Christ and living that out, then it's completely different.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends who are Christians together. Yeah. One of them's faithful, like following it completely. One is like, oh, I'm a Christian, I'll go on Sundays, but that's pretty much it. Yeah. And it's very different.
Yeah.
And so it's really fun growing with my wife in God, and our faiths have been strengthened, and we've, together have learned together and have strengthened each other's biblical beliefs and love for God and pouring that into our children has been like the biggest, I don't know, it's fulfilling.
Yeah.
Right?
It totally is fulfilling. And it's hard.
Yeah. Big time.
But worth it at the same time. That's interesting. So you're an introvert. How do you know you're an introvert?
I get very tired when I'm in a group environment. I can be an extrovert when I'm talking and interacting and be very personable. Yeah. But afterwards we get home and I'm like, okay, time to lay down. My wife is jazzed up. She's like, let's talk about everything that happened. Let's clean the house. I'm like, I just want to lay down, watch a show, and I need to energize, right? And so that is a huge challenge when I'm an introvert for 32 years with just always doing introvert things. And now I'm with an extrovert and kids who are extroverts. And so it's when do I get that time to calm down and relax, right? And so it's been interesting trying to weave that in.
That's funny. Me and my wife are both introverts, which is interesting. It has its own dynamic, you know. But I'm like you though. I got to take a nap almost every day. 10 minutes, 30 minutes, hour. I don't care.
Sure.
I'm taking a nap.
Oh yeah.
I love people, but definitely it's a drain on my battery. Yeah. So the morning that I saw you at Food for Thought, would that be a normal thing you'd go to, or is that kind of outside your wheelhouse? You have to, hey, I got to go to these things, and got to show up, but I'm an introvert.
Sure. Yeah. I think because I am, like, in this sense, it was for business, right?
Yeah.
I want to make connections with people. I wanted to see like other people's businesses. I wanted to get more involved in the community. And that's something that wouldn't naturally come to me as an introvert, right? I would be like, okay, do my job, then do my thing, right? But when it comes to like being an adult, right, and growing a business, and that requires you to step outside of your comfort zone in general, and also spend energy that you don't think you have to get to where you want to go, as well as impact the people that you need to impact or want to impact or want to help. And it's really about, for me, it's about meeting the people that I can help and making sure that I do the best I can for them. And how can you do that if you're not meeting them?
That's right. That's right. You can't. Let's talk about your journey of work. You know, your first, so after military, you were going to be FBI. And
Sure. Yeah.
That didn't work out, or you just decided not to do that. Talk about that journey from maybe not going to FBI.
Yep.
And then what you did.
Sure. So got out of the military, hated it.
You hate the military.
It was the worst experience I've ever had. It was, like I said, if it wasn't for God, I wouldn't be here. Honestly,
Why?
I was in the darkest place I've ever been in my entire life, and I've never been there again. But it was the most, as a Christian in the military, it is the most secluding thing that you could possibly do, at least that I've experienced, because everyone around me are doing, are drinking to get drunk. They're doing drugs. They're smoking. They're partying. They're, having sex with each other. It's just a nonstop party. And so I would have friends who, after work, what do they want to do? They want to go to the bar.
Yeah.
They're friends, work friends, and I like them. They're they're friendly, interactive people, but they're not, they don't live my same lifestyle.
Yeah.
And it was, when I say it's rare to find someone who lives the lifestyle of being, biblical Christian, in the military, it's almost non-existent, at least where I was. And so I was so depressed and so secluded, and that brought me to a place of honestly, seriously considering suicide, right?
No kidding. As a believer.
As a believer, right. But but as a believer, I'm not going to. But I was that depressed.
Yeah.
And so honestly, I tried everything but reading the Bible, which is weird.
Yeah.
And eventually I read the Bible. I eventually found a verse in the Bible that I connected with.
Come on, what's that verse?
And so it's Matthew 8:26. And it's the story about the disciples and Christ on the boat in the storm.
Yes.
And so Christ is asleep and the storm is happening and they're freaking out and they're thinking, we're going to sink. And they're waking Christ up, right? Like, hey, save us. Like, we are in big trouble. And Christ is like, ye of little faith.
Ye of little faith.
And so, and then he stops the storm and all that kind of stuff. And so I have this mantra, however you want to pronounce it, that anytime I'm in a spot of severe anxiety, depression, I think of that verse, ye of little faith. And it reminds me to have faith in Christ that everything is going to be okay. And so I've told that to a lot of people, and I've seen it change their lives in a lot of ways. And for me, I still use it today. And that was a decade ago that I figured that out. And basically, ever since then, I left the military, hated it, decided I didn't want to be in the FBI because it's very similar structure. Yeah. Right.
Oh, well, okay.
And it was very it's not stable in the sense of where you're located. You can be located anywhere. Right. So you can be
But you kind of owned by the government at that point.
So you get moved around a lot. And I didn't like that. And so I was like, okay, well, what am I going to do? Like I went to college for this. I went into the military for this, right? I was an interrogator in the military, right? Okay. And so I wanted to use that experience to, fight bad because I'm very justice oriented. I saw myself as a shield for the lower ranks in the military, right? I was the one that talked to the sergeants. I was the one that fought for, what they needed, that kind of stuff. And so when I got out, I was lost, right? I didn't know what to do. I was like, I built my entire life on this and I've been doing nothing since high school thinking about this. Mm-hmm. And so I get out and I try different things. I try to be a Twitch streamer, which was working really well, actually.
What do you call it?
Twitch streamer. This is ridiculous sounding at this point in my life, but when I was young, 22-year-old, I loved gaming. And so I would stream my games and people would pay to watch me stream because I was very good at what I did. Okay. And so I would have like 150, 200 viewers. I had only been doing it for about 6 to 7 months, 8 months when this happened. And then my account got hacked and I couldn't get back into it and I lost everything again. Huge, like, oh my gosh, like I was trying to build this thing, right? And when I finally got it back, everyone that was watching me is gone. So I was like, now what do I do? And so eventually I get pulled into a seminar for real estate. Yeah. By the way, come on, biggest scam ever. Not real estate, these seminars, because they're hype fests, right?
Oh, dude, I've been to them. Oh, yeah. I've walked out with many suitcases full of stuff, man. They're like they see me coming.
Oh yeah, the quickest breakdown is you get the first one free. They hype you up hard. Yeah. They emphasize how much you're going to make,
Yeah.
right? They don't tell you the exact details. They sell you a $2,000 course on, yeah, go ahead.
And can you tell me the name of the seminar? I mean,
I wish I remembered the seminar.
Okay. If it comes to you, I'd just be curious.
Yeah.
I've probably been to it.
I'm
not
sure. It was
kidding
here
you.
in town. You know, it was at the Holiday Inn or whatever.
Yeah.
And, but it's free first one. It's a 1 day. They sell you a 3-day course. It's
For $19.95.
Yeah. No, yeah. $2,000.
Yeah.
I came out of the military with $3,000, right? So $30,000. And I told my mom, I was like, you know what? I know this is probably gonna be a scam, but let's do it. Let's see what it's about, right? And so I go to the next course, and it's another 3-day course, right? And they're hyping you up big time, and they're telling you like, this is how you can get credit cards that are like at big limits, and you know they help you get a $20,000 credit card, and you're thinking like, oh, this is so cool, like I'm gonna be able to use it for real estate.
Yeah.
Well, the point of them doing that is because at the end, now they're gonna sell you their third program, which is now $20,000, $30,000, and $40,000 for these programs, and they're not worth it. Not a single one of them are worth it, but they just got you to get a debit card or a credit card during that week.
I've been there, man. I
right?
know exactly
so
what you're
that
saying.
now you can afford it. So you don't have a reason to say, I can't afford it.
Right.
Because they'll say, well, why don't you just put it on the thing that you just did? It's a 0 interest credit card.
Yeah.
But they don't tell you is you have to still pay 1% of whatever's on it. Yeah. And I saw people spending $30,000, $40,000 on these programs. And I'm like, whoa. Okay. So little secret here. I talked them down to $12,000 for their next 3 days. Cause I'm like, you know what? I have the money. Who cares? I want to do this so I can tell people what happens at these things so that they don't get tricked by it. Yeah. And so I did do it. And the next 3 days, another hype fest. They give you, it's an overload. Like imagine learning any career in 3 days. You're not going to do it.
Can't do it.
Right. So, but it got me interested, and that propelled me into real estate, and I became a real estate investor for almost a decade.
Wow.
Yeah. And
so walk us through, what's that mean, a real estate investor? How'd you do it?
So it's not an easy path, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm a really good researcher, and I looked into a lot of things, and I planned out everything. It took me 1 or 2 months to train myself on what to do.
Yeah.
I started with wholesaling, which is basically you get a contract on a house that needs fixing, and then you sell your position in that contract to another investor who pays you $5,000 to $10,000 for your contract, and they then buy the actual house and do the fix and flip, right? Yeah. So I started that way, and then I did my own fix and flips, and then I bought my own rentals, and then my specialty was actually owner financing. Yeah. So I was really good at creative financing deal structures, which there's not many people, at least in this area that I met, that know how to do that. Yeah. And so I just kind of specialized in it, and I was able to help. I was able to help a lot of people who could not buy houses and not any fault of their own. Like someone had a heart condition that made medical bills so substantial that it destroyed their credit, but they have great jobs. Right. They make, like 6-figure incomes, but they can't buy a house because their credit is completely shot. And so I'd get them into a house under like an owner financing deal structure, and they buy it for me after they get their credit fixed in 5 years.
Yeah. I learned that technique in like early 2000s. I'd buy homes on contract, and I'm a mortgage guy. I still buying homes on contract because I love that. I love the, carrying contract and carrying financing and negotiating, and it was fun. There was a guy moving from California up to Oregon. This was early 2000s, and he made plenty of money, but because he was newly self-employed for a year or less, you couldn't get a loan. Yeah. And so I carried the financing for 3 years, and we've remained friends for the last really 25 years. Yeah. And I fell in love with that. Yeah. And I realized there's a lot of people who didn't have the credit or the qualifications to buy a home. Right. But I wanted to buy and sell on. So I started buying single family homes and selling them on contract. And, but I love that you do that. Not many people do it, but the fact that you did it. Yeah. So you did it for almost a decade. Yeah. And then, COVID happened. Right. Yeah. Then COVID happened. Yeah. It's like you know how they do AD, and BC, and now it's like after COVID, before COVID, basically. It was honestly just a really stressful lifestyle, finding the next flip, that kind of thing. It was really wearing me out, and I was making money. I was doing $30,000, $80,000 flips. They take 3 months to do, whatever, which is great, and it feels great when you do it. But honestly, like that hunt, I was just getting tired of it. Right. Yeah. And so I ended up getting out of real estate. I ended up joining a commercial company and becoming help doing a lot of their financial stuff with, their apartment complexes and determining whether their, the rents made sense and all that kind of stuff. And then I ended up moving out of that, and now I work in wealth management with finance. And so I work for an investment advisory firm that helps, individuals with investments and, matching their assets to liabilities and all that kind of stuff. So do you have to have a degree doing what you do today?
Yeah, so I have something called the Series 65. Okay. But I am getting my master's in financial planning to get my CFP so that I can be more, do more for the company that I work with. And this will be my second master's that I'm going after. for this career, and this is going to be the rest of my life career. So.
What was your first master's in?
Technically, I guess it's a half a master's, but it was in seminary.
Yeah.
So I was getting my degree in theology. I want my dream career would be, there's two of them. One, an actor, because I love that.
Love it.
I love that kind of stuff. But two would be a teacher of theology or an apologist of some sort. That would be my two career paths that I would choose if I could.
You said teacher or apologist?
Yeah. So being a teacher of theology or being an apologist kind of thing. So
nice.
that'd be my, I have a passion for apologetics and church history. And so if I could do that permanently, then that's what I would do.
Well, you can do anything you want to do. I mean, again, it's not the name it and claim it mentality, but at the same time, God's given us creativity. We were created in his image. And I always thought for years, like, I'm not that creative, but you know what?
Sure.
That's a dishonor to God because God created me.
Right.
He snapped his fingers and created the heavens and the earth and, in 6 days and did amazing things. So guess what? We are created to do amazing things in his name.
Absolutely.
Right. So I love it, man. I love you. You have a lot of gifting, a lot of, a lot of passions, you're Taekwondo to FBI, to apologetics, to, just all those things, man. Tell me about all this, you said you're getting a CFP, a master's in CFP.
Yeah.
What's this? I mean, all these different series. Walk me through all the different, as a financial planner, a series, is it a 7?
Yeah, there's series 7, series 6, 63, 66, et cetera. And it depends on what side of the business you're on. So there's two major sides. There's either a broker dealer side, right? Where you're getting commissions every time you do a thing like buy this, sell this, right?
Make a commission, boom, boom, boom. Okay.
So I'm not on that side. So that would be like, the other series. So I got a 65, which is a registered investment advisor.
Right.
And so on investment advisory side, this is more along, instead of it just being someone you go to and say, buy and sell this for me, it's hey, I have money. I need this money to grow or be protected, or I need someone to help me make sure that by the time I retire or my kids retire or whatever, that we're in a position that makes sense. And for a lot of people, they don't know how to do that, right? So they have a 401k and that's all they do. And they hope that brings them the wealth they need when they're an elderly, but that's usually not the case for most people. And so with wealth management on the investment advisory side, I only get paid, or my investment advisor only gets paid when they with assets under management. So if they have $100 million under management, they get, let's say 1% of that as their fee, and that's all they get paid. Right. So it's it's a fiduciary position where you are working to ensure your client gets what they need. Whereas,
I like that. I prefer a fiduciary versus 100%. Somebody, hey, buy and sell that.
Yeah. Because you don't have any responsibility to the client. If you're on the broker dealer side, you're like, they told me to buy it. They told me to sell it. I don't care if it's bad or good. Whereas on our side, we're like, okay, we are very holistic, right? We're like, what do you as Buddy need? Because it's going to be different than what Skylar needs. Right.
You're going to customize it for me.
100%. It's
so you're going to create a plan for me, because if I could figure it out on my own, I would have done it.
Right.
And I always say, I can't fix my own problem. I can help you fix yours.
Right.
Just can't fix my own. Is that kind of the way you guys think as well?
It really is. I mean, you can find other investment advisors. And I think the problem with most investment advisor firms, like the big ones, think about like the Meryl Streeps and all these other ones, right? Where they're like, okay, we have 100,000 clients, which no one could possibly
come on.
To properly do anything with. And we're going to put you in, what is your risk level? Oh, it's low, it's medium, it's high. Okay, here's the portfolio for that. Right. And it's very kind of like,
B or C.
Right. Whereas like an investment advisory firm that's like us, who's very like, hey, we can only take on a certain amount of clients because we are doing quarterlies with you. We're taking phone calls in with you between, and we're making sure your lifestyle is being held and intact. And we're making sure that any potential future liabilities that you might have are covered. Where that's not the case with most investment advisory firms. There are a lot of them that do that, but it's hard to find them.
All right. What's your advice for, I'm a mid 50-year-old guy. I've got 10 years to retire.
Sure.
What's the advice you'd give somebody like me? You're a smart guy.
Sure.
I mean, I know there's protection, there's growth, there's different things. What do you tell a guy like me?
I would say talk to my company, because the problem is I can't, without knowing your financials, where you are and where you want to go, how am I supposed to give you the advice? Just because you're a 50-year-old man doesn't mean another 50-year-old man is going to be in the exact same position, right? If you have $1 million today versus if you only have $1,000 in your bank account, very different structures.
A couple different strategies there.
There's a myriad of different things that you could do or need to do and to ensure.
What were the maybe top 3 things I would be thinking about? I'm trying to help people in our audience really understand that. We don't know what we know, and I know life insurance plays a part of this too. And I'm a life insurance fan, How do you bring life insurance into as a protection tool? Is that part of what you guys do?
Sure.
Talk to us about that.
Sure. So like I said, it's a lot of different things for a lot of different people. So when it comes to what you want to think about, okay, is when you retire, what lifestyle do you want? And is that realistic?
That's the thing.
That's the
not
problem.
what I want.
Yeah.
I want to have 20 million in the bank. No, what's realistic?
100%. So it does matter, where you currently are and how much you have now.
Yeah.
Because if you have a 401k, if you have an IRA, if you have, a Roth, like what do you have? What are your current liabilities? So do you have a house? Do you have a car? Like what kind of liabilities do you have? And are they covered? Because just because you can afford them today, are they still going to be in existence when you retire? And you're like the amount of money you have when you're retired versus when you're working is very different in a lot of ways. Or, that's what you need. So you need to think about a couple of things. One, where you are now. Two, where you want to be.
Yeah.
Three, when you're retired, what does your lifestyle look like? And it has to be realistic. Because if you have zero money today and you're 60, you're not going to be driving Ferraris.
Really?
Right?
You sure?
Yeah. So I think it's,
but I'm a positive guy.
Hey,
Skylar.
if you build a business and something happens, it could happen. But I'm
totally
talking,
joking.
I know. The average person, what would that look like? So that's why I think going with like a huge company that's an advisory firm is less beneficial. Not that it's they're good in a lot of ways, but it's less beneficial if you really, really want to determine and make sure you get what you need when you retire, right? And there's a lot of good programs out there, but I think going with a smaller firm or a firm that is very look at the person running it and what their education looks like. Yeah. Because you could come out of schooling and be immediately started an investment advisory firm and you have a single certificate, right?
Right.
Whereas for instance, the individual I work for, right? He has so many advanced certificates and degrees that people in this area call him, they're from big firms to do calculations.
Oh, wow.
Kind of stuff, right?
Wow.
And so I think that's something that you really need to is look at who you're going with, make sure they're the person that can actually do what they say they can do. And then you think about, where you are, where you want to be and what your end life is going to look like.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you guys have a minimum investment that somebody would have to have before they could come on board?
Sure.
$50 a month, would you help me? Is that?
So for us, because we are because we can only take on a certain amount of clients, there's a initial investment or that you'll get to that point in a certain amount of time.
Gotcha. It's one or the other.
Right.
I've got $100,000 a day or I'll have $100,000 in a couple years or something like
exactly.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's an initial investment amount that for us to because we do so much for our clients and we want to make sure that we're doing the it's kind of crazy actually. So if you, the stuff that we do for clients is it's not just a one and done thing, right? So it's not we did a portfolio analysis for you and your lifestyle and you're low on the totem pole, so we're going to put you in this low category and we'll see you next year. Yeah. Right? Because, markets go up and down. Yeah. And there's things that change and different lifestyle changes. You lost your job. You got a new job. Got married, got divorced. Got married, yep.
All the things.
You had a new kid. All these things. And that changes your lifestyle, which changes how your investments look, which change how your outlook looks. So with that, so it definitely, we have to make sure because how much time and dedication we spend on each person. Yeah. And really it's it's a holistic handhold process. Yeah. We have to make sure that, the amount of work we're doing also is good for the client, right?
Totally.
Because we can't give the same amount of time to each individual if we can't be paid for that time, because we're in a business and we do want to help people, but we can't do it for free.
When you can't help everybody,
right? But we do have people we're like, hey, we can't help you, but here's someone who can.
Who would you refer somebody to if they got $50 a month? Where does that client go?
That's hard to say because just because they have $50 a month today, I don't know what their finances look like.
Right, and you don't know the story.
Right, you have to. That's the problem and people they're like, I want a 12% return, get me that, and you're like, okay, that's great, returns are great, but that is the wrong way to look at this.
That's not it. Yeah,
you need to look at it in the sense of holistically, right? Yeah, your 12% return is great, but if you're doing it on $50, that doesn't really matter.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas if you're like, hey, I am currently in debt, I have a certain amount of money now. This is where we're going in life. This is where I want to be. Now we can develop an entire program to get you to that point. Yeah. It's thinking about it just in simple terms of like that's what they do these days. Like we got a 12% return. We got a 20% return. You did this quarter, but what does your portfolio look like next quarter? Right. And that kind of stuff. So it's something you really have to think about is matching your current assets or current liabilities to assets to make sure you're covered no matter where your life event happens. Right. So
that's good stuff. Well, hey, I'd love, as a mortgage guy, I'd love to partner with you. We have clients that we could share back and forth. And I like people who really care about people, you know, like I don't have a loan to sell you just because I'm a mortgage guy.
100%.
I always say, hey, let me talk you out of a loan before I talk you into one. That's really my goal. Like, yeah, right, buddy. You're going to talk. Here we go. I mean, I love that because I want people to trust me. At the end of the day, I don't want to do your loan and you hate what I've done for you because it wasn't the right thing to do. So never going to do that. I'm never going to do that. Right. And I know you're that guy too.
100%.
So
yeah, you have to make sure, like, because I'm a follower of Christ, honestly, like everyone who works at my company is a Christ follower.
No kidding.
We actually have a Bible study on Wednesday with the entire company, every single Wednesday.
Every Wednesday.
Because it has to be at the center, right? God has to be at the center. And you have, by doing that, you ensure that your heart is in the right spot to be helping the people that need the help, right?
That's right.
And the people we help don't have to be Christians.
Absolutely not. You might not get any clients if you're waiting for just all Christians.
Right.
Well, let me make sure do you believe in John 3:16?
Right. No, like most of our clients aren't. And it doesn't matter because we're showing Christ by doing the right thing through that. So
that's right. Man, I love that. Well, hey, I'm going to put your information in the show notes and stuff, and I think people could at least reach out to you. And maybe you're the guy, maybe you're not, but I bet you would tell them the truth on what they could do. Hey, we're going to wrap up here. Where does God have you right now, and where are you going? What's God pressing in on you to do? Well, we could probably talk more because I know you're writing a book too right now.
Right.
You have lots of interests. So let's wrap up on maybe the book you're writing and then what God's having you do.
Sure. So I'm writing a couple different books, actually. One of them is just for me because I'm a nerd. It's going to be like a more of like a fantasy kind of book. Yeah. But I'm also looking at writing like Christian fiction. Yeah. When it comes to like the story that I have, for instance, like when I went to George Fox, I went there for seminary, turned out to be a very left-leaning church, or not church, seminary. Yeah. And that experience and some of the experiences I've had recently with some abuses in a church setting have really propelled me to want to write something that takes truthful matters, but turns them into a format that is digestible by the general public without naming names, right? Amen. So it's not going to be like, it'll be a fiction, not a nonfiction book, but I think it's important for people to see how to interact with those situations, right? Like there's the Matthew 18 process when it comes to, a sin happening from brother to brother in the church, right? And knowing how to actually go through that process. And same with seminary, like how do you interact with teachers who are supposed to be biblical teachers or content that calls God terrible names like a pedophile, for instance. Yeah. How do you do that in a biblical way? And I want to make it in like a story format, right? Yeah. So that's a book that I'm looking at continuing to write. And, I'm developing an AI that will help with book editing. Wow. Which is as kind of a passion project. And then God is really leading me to like, I'm a part of a prison ministry. Sure. And so my heart honestly is to continue with my apologetics, continue telling people about church history and teaching them why it's so important and like, what was the Reformation for? Right? Like, is Protestantism actually a break from the church? Well, of course not. It's no different than the original Catholic denomination, right? There was the original church in 1 AD was Catholic, and then the different denominations off that is Roman Catholic, Orthodox and Protestant, right? And the Protestant Reformation was to recapture the original faith of the apostles, right? Yeah. That wasn't a break from the faith in any way, right? So that's the kind of stuff that really like fires me up that I want to talk about as much as possible because people don't know. Yeah. They hear the, Christianese or they hear like, pop phrases from Christian sources or non-Christian sources and they believe it. So that's a big passion of mine is really bringing church history back to the Protestant church because I don't think we do a good enough job on it. Yeah. It's funny you say Christianese. I introduced you to Jamie Shandy. You guys are going to get together. That's pretty cool. All right. Confession on what'd you do to your finger? Oh gosh. So I was cleaning a glass like a man and I was too strong and it shattered. And it just flayed my finger in a V all the way through the knuckle to the base of my finger. So 10 stitches, probably could have used 11. So that was a recent event. Did not feel good. Last question. I could probably keep going, but a date on the book that you want to write that God's placed on your heart? You have like, hey, are you a date guy? Like, okay, June of 2026, I'll have it.
Is there a date?
Oh man, I wish there was, but I have so many children that like finding the time to do anything that's a hobby, honestly, is really challenging. My wife and I've tried to put aside. I mean, my wife is going back to school to become a lawyer.
Wow.
Career change.
Yeah.
Just because like we're in our still, late 30s, mid 30s. And so career change is, we're going to work another 30 years. So why not?
Why not?
And she's always had a passion for it, right? So she's going to be doing that. I'm going back to get my master's. I have 4 children. They're in sports all through the week and the weekend. So it's like, when do you find time? So like I might find 1 or 2 hours a week to write, and that would take a while to write. So I wish I had a date, but I'll just keep you updated.
It's okay, brother. Well, maybe down the road when you get that book written, maybe we'll do this again and we can unpack a little bit. I've seen Matthew 18, I'll just end on this note here. A lot of people use the verse, hey, where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there I am in the midst, as a positive context, but I think you and I would agree that it's in the area of church discipline. Like step 1 is I go to a brother, and step 2, I bring a brother if you don't change. And so I'm really passionate about that verse, and I oftentimes hear people misquote that, and it really bugs me, but you have to pray through that and realize, it's okay. But in fact, this morning I was talking to a brother early this morning over Matthew 18 and how it is about church discipline. And then 1 Corinthians chapter 5, it will take you over to that. And even Paul saying, I'm there with you in spirit. I'm not there physically, but I'm there with you. And now I don't want to get into that whole judge, how the church judges that person, but it's interesting. But well, hey, Skylar, appreciate you being here. Appreciate you sharing your heart. I appreciate your planting seeds in Nick's life. Nick's a new guy, Nick Ketchum, and
love that guy.
I love him too, man. I know you do as well. And so, when's the last time you talked to Nick?
A month ago, maybe.
Okay.
Him and I, we go back and forth. Sometimes we'll talk an entire week straight, and then we'll have 3 weeks off, and then we'll talk again. It's just like, that's how friendships are with a busy life. He has a family now, I have a family, and so life gets busy.
It's amazing. He's married, got some kids.
Yeah.
Similar situation, have some married lady who had some kids already and have their own. So
super proud of him.
What a cool thing. But well, hey, appreciate you. We appreciate you guys being here every week. We're thankful for you. We're grateful for you. Live in gratitude, man. That is what God calls us to do, is be grateful for what he's done, what he's doing. And I know life isn't always easy, but it's worth it to follow him and seek him. So keep doing that. And Skylar, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you, man. And
of course, thanks, buddy.
We'll see you next week. Thank you so much.